All right, everybody, welcome to another thrilling episode of the Black Diamond here in Digital Altitude. My name is John Lavenia, as it is every week. I have not changed my name in some time, for as long as I've been in this body anyway. And it is Monday, October 2nd, and we are less than 2 weeks out from our Marketing Mastery event, live in Las Vegas, Nevada. And so excited to see so many of you there. We got people coming in from all over the world. If you are brand new, and I know there are many of you who are brand new, just tuning into our live call series for the first time, and this is the first you're hearing about this, avail yourself of a ticket. Do it quickly because they are, in fact, selling out. I'm hearing that we're already approaching standing room only capacity on this event. So go to digitalaltitude.co/MME. If you do not yet have a ticket, grab a couple tickets. Bring a spouse. You can bring kids too. They don't need tickets, but it's a great event. In fact, we're going to be at a very family-friendly venue, way off the strip. We're going to the Green Valley Resort. So really excited about that, and you guys are going to love it, especially if you've never been to an event like this before, which I know many of you haven't. So good stuff happening October 14th and 15th, and I'm looking forward to seeing you there. And that is my only announcement for tonight. Tonight we have a great call scheduled for everybody, and so I'm excited about that. I'm going to give you my typical protocol and disclaimers here. On the Black Diamond call, we do things a little bit differently than our wake-up calls and other stuff, in the way that you're going to be hearing from me and my guest host tonight, and hearing about our opinion on stuff, how we work our business, and how we've gotten to the top of our game and in our industry, which is also your industry, which is top-tier direct sales. And so if you're looking to excel in that and get to the top, you are in the right place. So my suggestion is take what you like and leave the rest. Do see how these ideas apply into your life and into your business. These ideas are for use, not for just entertainment value. And of course, if I say anything that offends you, you'll get over it, because that's just how we roll around here, which is rather direct. So that being said, tonight we're going to be talking with someone who has never breathed a word before on the live call and webinar series. Actually, he was one of our guest speakers last week with that special broadcast that Dallas had put together on that other platform. What is that? Go-To webinar or something? I don't know. We use DA live call, free conference call around here. But yeah, this guy is one of our top earners here inside the Digital Altitude community. Interestingly, I was just looking on the Facebook group, which I don't spend a whole lot of time on, but I did see that this cat just crossed the $5 million mark in team sales. This is spectacular. He and his wife and their beautiful family. It is so good to be in business with people like this, because I'll tell you what, I'm going to set the table here a little bit for my buddy Aaron, who we're about to bring out. Here's a guy who's got a lot of experience in online marketing, which obviously we're all, anyone who's here, right? You're learning the intricacies and sometimes the vagaries of online marketing in all its different forms. But you're not going to do all its different forms, right? You're going to focus on things that you find are things that you have a natural interest in, that you have a natural affinity for. You're going to gravitate towards those things. And we kind of touched on this a bit last week when we had our friend Marvin Benny out here. And here's a guy who does data in terms of like what's called cost per action marketing. Okay, and in the case of our speaker tonight, same sort of an approach. Okay, so not necessarily so much into the social media methods, right? Those are valid methods. Those work. Okay, not so much maybe into the blogging. Those are valid methods, right? Article marketing and all that. That's all valid, right? But there are different methods for different people, right? Here's a guy who is heavily into email marketing and building relationships with the list. Now, that's important because here's the thing. Even if you have, let's say, solo advertising, for those of you who are brand new and don't even know what solo advertising is yet, that's essentially email marketing to someone else's list for money. It's a paid advertising method. It's essentially done for you advertising, where somebody else has already advertised. They've got the list. You don't. You've got an offer, and you're going to pay them to send your offer to their list. Very simple. However, as simple as that is, and as enticing as that sounds, these are still people who you've got to build trust and credibility with, right? They don't know who you are. Unlike, let's say, someone who's more into the social media approaches, they already have some influence with their audience, right? People are already predisposed to listening to them. Okay, well, in this case, as we get into list building and doing it in the cold market with methods that do not warm up the prospect prior to subscription to your email list, and we're all in the list building business. Make no mistake about that, right? List building is the order of the day. Okay, in fact, we've heard from, if you've been to some of our previous events, our live events, you've heard from people like Encore Agarwal, who talks about how your list, the bigger it grows, and if you just average $1 per month from everybody on your list, by the time you got 100,000 people on your list, you're making 100,000 a month. So yes, the list building is valid, no matter what the front end looks like, no matter what sort of marketing, what sort of advertising you're doing. Building the relationship with that list is important. And of course, some people do that by being social or showing them YouTube videos or whatever prior to them ever opting in. But regardless, whether it's before, during, or after, okay, there has to be some buildup of value with that prospective customer, client, participant, affiliate, right, whatever the title is for your offer. Okay, there has to be some trust and credibility. Remember those two words, trust and credibility. They come up on these calls a lot because that is, if you think about it, that is the precursor to consummating a transaction. Okay, somebody's not going to buy from someone they don't know, they don't trust, and they've got no affinity for, right? That's a bit of a cliche these days. You hear people buy from people they know, like, and trust. Well, here's a guy who knows how to build that sort of relationship with lists, even though he's not a professional speaker and, is rather private, at least in my view of you, Aaron. I don't know. We haven't spent much time together. Looking forward, of course, to seeing you and your family in a couple of weeks. But here's yet another person who may have different methods than other people who is just crushing it in the online marketplace. Like I said, over 5 million in sales as a result of his efforts thus far. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and we are going to bring out my buddy and yours, Aaron Anderson. Aaron, how are you, my friend?
Hey, what's up, John? I'm doing good.
Good, man.
Thanks
so excited to have you here live on the DA Live Call series and the Black Diamond, no less. So, yeah, man, tell us a little bit about what's going on in your world.
Yeah, so like John mentioned, I am the private behind-the-scenes guy. John actually did a good job of twisting my arm to bring me on the call, and I appreciate that because I need to step out of my shell a little bit. So this ought to give you guys some hope, for lack of better words, that are not the real outgoing or, kind of shy people. So, yeah, I build relationships basically through the written word, through email. I don't do videos. I'm not like, the premier Facebook guy or anything like that. I basically build them through writing, through email. And John mentioned something before. I just got into the blogging stuff not that long ago, and that's another way to actually, it's all about know, like, and trust, building credibility, building a relationship with the person on the other end of the email, because the emails, they're not disposable. There's flesh and blood behind every one of those emails. Is real people, and they're real people with issues just like you and I and John. We all have some sort of something that we're battling, and something that we have a solution to somebody's problem. So it's all about finding solutions to people's problems, building a relationship of know, like, and trust with the person through building value, and then at the end of it, selling them something or making a transaction. And sometimes that takes longer than others. So, sometimes it can take a day, an hour, or sometimes it can take several weeks. It just all depends on how the person on the other end is reacting to what you're, in my case, saying through the written word, through email. I've been in this business, in this online marketing space, as I like to call it, since 1997. So I've seen a lot of mutations and a lot of progress from there was no Facebook, there was no YouTube, there was no MySpace, there was no Google, there was nothing. It was all basically email. So a lot of people say email is dead, and I can definitely tell you that email is alive and well. It's not dead and probably will never die. It's how this whole entire online space started, and it's basically graduated to making videos and blogging and running Facebook ads and running paid ads through Bing and other paid marketing avenues. But it's all based on the same know, like, and trust, and building credibility and building value. So I mean, that's basically what I do, John. I'm a chef by trade. I got a real crazy start in this industry. I'm a chef by trade. Got too hot in the kitchen. Then went to work for a company that developed software for computers for restaurants, and I was the guy that could deal with the crazy restaurant people in between the computers and the restaurants. And that's how I got my start into the online marketing space. Then I worked at a job for about 6.5 years for a company that I hated, and I knew there had to be a better way. And, I'm not proud of this, but over the 6.5 years of working there, I worked moonlighting on the side, even at the job, something I'm not very proud of, but it helped me catapult into doing what I wanted to do. I was working both things. I was working the online marketing thing, and I was working the job just enough to get by so I didn't get in trouble with the boss, something that I don't promote. But I did that. That's what I had to do to get by, to provide for my family, to the point where I was equally making my salary on the online stuff and, in equal to my job. And then I decided to take the jump. I'm a conservative guy, so not a big risk taker. So that's my story. That's how I got to where I am, and it's all about, consistency and persistence and staying focused. All those things that you hear that they sound rah-rah, but they're all true. I mean, you gotta be persistent. You gotta stay focused. I'm not the spring chicken. I'm 47. I'm not the 20-year-old guy out there either. I'm 47. I have 3 dogs, a wife, and a family. So, I'm not your 20-year-old online marketer. So hopefully it helps, man.
Yeah, now, Aaron, when you were doing that job, was there any marketing aspect to it, or was it just like IT work, or like what kind of work was that?
No, I was a project manager. Was no online marketing. I didn't have any online marketing experience, man. I learned on the job, just by doing it.
Right. And you mentioned MySpace, so we must be going back. Is MySpace even still around? I don't know.
Yeah, MySpace. I think Justin Timberlake bought MySpace some years ago from whoever owned it before. I think it was Newsday or something.
Okay.
But yeah, we're going back a while. We're going back quite a few years.
Okay. Well, and yeah, we're the same age, so I totally resent the whole "I'm not a spring chicken" thing, because since we're the same age, and I am a spring chicken.
Yeah. I'm a spring chicken. I'm a spring chicken in my mind, in the number. I'm quite a bit older than the average online marketer, I believe.
Oh yeah. Well, that's true, because we got a lot of people who are either millennial or even people. My goodness, as a coach here, I get to work with people of every age bracket, and I've had people that just turned 18, getting started in this. When I was like when I was 18, I was learning how to be a mechanic. I just graduated high school, and like the coolest thing I could think to do was to go sign up for mechanical training and all that, which was more productive than anything I had done before. But yeah, I'm not a mechanic anymore. But this is the thing. We transition once we've outgrown. Here's where I'm thinking we're going with this, Aaron. Once we've outgrown our post in life, we find that new avenues open up to us. Right? Now,
for sure.
I think that's true for anyone who is looking to get to the next level, because they've got the motivation. They're here. Right? You obviously became dissatisfied with the results that you were getting in that workaday world, and you found a way, you found a method, in this case online marketing, you found a method to outgrow what you were doing there, and then when you were able to replace your income, that was it. You made your exit. How long did that take?
6.5 years. It took time because of me. I am a conservative type of guy. I didn't want to jump until I had the net. Sure, I'm an entrepreneur at heart, and I like to think that I take risks. But I'm a conservative guy. I had the mortgage, the car payment, just, all these other things that everyone else has or had. And, I waited. I waited until I was ready, whatever ready is, because you're never really ready.
Yeah, right.
And then I took that jump.
Right. And was it all at once, or was it like an incremental thing where,
No.
like you had an opportunity and you did it a little bit, or like, because obviously digital altitude was not around 6.5 years ago. Right.
No.
So what did that look
No,
like? Like, if you had digital altitude, would you have gone faster? I mean, what
Yeah. I mean, I did do it all at once because I had a lot of prodding from my coworkers. I had a pretty unique situation. My boss was in upstate New York, and I was working down here in Florida, so he didn't see me on a day-to-day basis. I only went to go see him every few months up in upstate New York. And my coworkers would always tell me, because they knew what I was doing, obviously, and they would always tell me, you're not going to be here very long, and a year would go by, and they would tell me, you're not going to be here very long, and then another year would go by, and then they would say, you're not going to be here very long, and then one day I said, you know what, I'm not going to be here very long, and I ended up, at that point, when I was happy where I was, I ended up just giving my 2 weeks and saying goodbye. So it took me a while. It took me some time. So again, I mean, everyone has their own threshold with what they're willing to do and when they're willing to do it. But for me, it took a little bit longer.
Sure. Was it based on like a dollar amount? Like, I got to make this much money and then I can quit the job, or was it just kind of clutching on to the known, which is the job?
Yeah, it was a combination of both. It was have to make a certain amount of money consecutively in a certain amount of months, and then I think that what keeps us all of us most stuck is being comfortable. Having something to going to work every day, having that water cooler experience that at the job, and I ever since then I try to do, no matter how bad it hurts, because sometimes it does, I try to get outside my comfort zone. After the call last week, after the webinar last week, I told Dallas, thanks, I need to do this more often. Force me to do what we're doing right now, because the anticipation of doing this, I mean, I'm being real. I'm being honest and real. The anticipation of doing this beforehand is enough to make me sick, because it's just really out of my comfort zone, but I'll do it. Why? Because I know it's going to help me. It's going to help others around me, because some of you guys on this line tonight might be in the position that I'm in and can relate to exactly what I'm going through. So hopefully I can help somebody on this line, or somebody's on this line, and maybe you guys will step out of your comfort zone too. And, again, I'm 47. You only live one time. You got to make the best of it while we're here. So, jump. You got to jump sometimes.
Yeah. And in that time that you've been experimenting and growing and evolving as a professional marketer and ultimately becoming a full-time entrepreneur and no longer requiring a job, in that time, progress has been made throughout the industry, and the result of, in this case, collective decades of experience resulted in digital altitude, right? So, in all fairness, you didn't have necessarily as clear a path as a lot of the people, entering. Like, we have people on this line right now who are, 2 days in the business, and they may not have, by contrast, they don't know what else they could have done, right?
Yeah.
This is quite a blessing, actually.
Yeah. I would say this. I would say this to those that are on the line that are just starting out, that are just here now for the first time. You guys have a real big advantage over what I had, and probably what John had too. You guys have a clear path of exactly what to do, and you have somebody to help you on that path to do what you got to do. I didn't have that. I don't know if John had that, but I never had that. I had to go out there and get kicked around many times. You guys have a clear path. You guys have somebody to walk you down that path, and this is a really good place for you. I don't know how else to say it any different. I mean, for sure, like this is a clear path, and you got somebody to help you along the way. I didn't have that. I wish I did. Like that makes me jealous that I believe that some things are a little bit harder, but a lot of things are a lot easier for the guys that are coming up today, as opposed to what I had to deal with being in this space since '97. Some of the stuff is the same. A lot of the stuff is different, and the stuff that's different for you guys in this sense, being here, it's going to be a heck of a lot better for you, and a heck of a lot easier, and a heck of a lot faster to build what took me so long to build.
Yeah, that's great. And I want to hear about what you think would be harder, because that would be, for full disclosure, right, here's the good, here's the bad. We're just going to say it like it is.
Yeah.
But I want to fill you in, because you and I have not had much time together. I got my start, very briefly, I got my start in entrepreneurship in '95 after, seeing my drunken boss, who was on his third divorce, run the auto shop I was working in into the ground. And I was thinking, you know what, I can run this place better than this guy. And so I bought a tool franchise, right? You see those big trucks that drive around to the different auto shops and sell tools. So I bought a franchise. That was a six-figure investment.
Yeah.
And here I was. I didn't have the money, right? I had to borrow the money, and it was the whole thing. I had to get trained for all that. And I got to work 80 hours a week running my own business, but it was my own business. The only other thing I did entrepreneurial prior to that was managing my heavy metal band, which was not profitable. That was more of a hobby, but, we had fun. But that's, still that's kind of entrepreneurial. And then, after a couple of years of selling tools off the truck, I had a mechanic, one of my customers, come up to me and say, hey, you look sharp. Do you keep your options open? I'm like, well, of course I do. Money? Yeah, let's make some money. And so next thing you know, I was in MLM. And I did that for a few years, but without any traction, Aaron. It was a rough road. And, I ended up back in the job out of desperation. Now, here's the thing. In that job, that last, job I had for some years, I got to making a six-figure income. I had become accustomed to that. And again, working 70, 80 hours a week. I never lacked the motivation. But like you, I was conservative. It's like, you know what? I've had my ass handed to me by entrepreneurship. Maybe I'm just not cut out for that. Which is kind of a tragic thought to have, right? Sort of to succumb.
Baggage. Baggage.
And, because all opportunities equal all opportunities, therefore I'm not cut out for entrepreneurship because I failed a couple of times. Woe was me. So, but then, I got to the point where it was actually affecting my health. And I ended up in the hospital. It's what happens. I was 32 years old. We're going back to 2002 now. And I discovered top-tier direct sales. Now, in my case, despite the fact that the internet was alive and I was actually running a business development center, we were getting leads online and converting them into, customers in the shop to, get product. I had no entrepreneurial marketing experience. I didn't even know what the word meant. Now I knew sales really, really well. I had been doing sales and I was awesome at it. But as far as going out on my own, but I found top tier direct sales, which is obviously our industry, jumped in, and my goal, which I had missed for years, Aaron, my goal was to double my income. I wanted to make $20,000 a month and buy a new Lexus. That was my dream car, and I could never afford it, working a job, barely paying my bills on time. And in 3 months, when I found this industry, even without the technological advances we have now, but in 3 months, I reached my goal after missing it for years. And that was it. Once I doubled my income, I was out of the job. I gave my boss his 2-week notice, and he didn't even want it. He's like, yeah, we know you're gone. They were trying to get me to quit anyway. They were cutting my pay 3 times a year and all this. Yeah. So for me, it was like pain, and then boom, I exploded. So you had a bit of a different situation, okay? But what are the? Obviously, we know what the advantages are. We've got a sound company that's run by sane people. Hey, that's awesome. We've got this whole thing called the internet, and there's lots of ways to get in communication with people who are looking for what you've got. What's harder? What are the disadvantages for the new person?
Setting yourself apart from the others that are out there doing the same thing. Not necessarily digital altitude, but on the online space, there's other stuff out there as well. It's no secret. Setting yourself apart, making people notice you, not necessarily on social media, but other ways. And, when everyone else zigs, I zag. When everyone's going one way, I go the other way. I see everyone all over Facebook. And John, I've heard you on other calls too. You're not a big Facebook guy. Like you're also a zagger. Everyone else is zigging on all over Facebook, and you're zagging somewhere else. Mm-hmm. I'm the same way. Everyone else is saying email is dead, and I'm quietly, except for Anchor, and I'm quietly making a fortune using email. And they could keep saying email is dead all they want, because all that's going to do is keep people running the other way, and I'm going to keep quietly making a fortune with something that's quote-unquote dead. So, yeah.
Okay. So the first thing you mentioned was setting yourself apart, which I would say, in my terminology, I would call that creating a point of differentiation.
Yeah, for sure.
So what is your USP? What is your unique selling proposition? Have you personally come up with one, or how do you differentiate yourself from all the noise?
I'm the family guy. I'm the family guy. Every email that I send out, every relationship I build, I make sure that everyone knows that, I'm the husband, I have a 9-year-old daughter, and I have 3 dogs. And I constantly get, even John, when he introduced me, I have the beautiful family. And that goes out in every email. I get comments back from my team and other subscribers and other people that are looking to be prospective business partners. You have a beautiful family. Oh my God, is that really you? It's about being real, and it's about bonding with whoever your prospect is or your team members, and being authentic. And set all these different things set yourself apart from the other guys, because everyone thinks that this internet, and sometimes it is a very unreal, shady, cold place. And sometimes it is, but if you set yourself apart and put yourself out there a little bit in other ways, not video, I don't do videos, but I will put myself out there in other ways that other people don't, and the people that are the same as me relate to me. And those are the people that gravitate towards you and that are attracted to what you're doing and how you do it. That I don't have to go plaster myself all around out there to make money, to build a big team, to make sales, to get people to know, like, and trust me. So hopefully that.
So you don't have to be flaunting your Lamborghini or your, look at my, gold chains or whatever. I mean, so there are certainly there's a demographic, right?
Yes, sure. Yes.
That's not your shtick, right? Because you are who you are. Okay. Now there's a lot of family guys, right? There's millions and millions of family guys, but this family guy named Aaron, you see, he's got some knowledge, he's got some experience. So right there's credibility. Not only is this someone who values the same things that your ideal prospect values, okay, so you may or may not have a Lamborghini. We're not terribly concerned with that. We want to support our family, right? So that's a different message. And does that turn off, do you think? Does that turn off people who they're looking for the Ferrari guy or something?
Well, here's the thing. Like, over the years, I've had these conversations, because this is an interesting conversation. There is a demographic for the Ferrari guy with the big house, but not necessarily as everything glitters as gold, and not everything you see is for real. I don't show that, and I like to show that it is possible to do without showing that. And I've never had an issue not showing that kind of stuff. People say, oh, why don't you show more money? And I've tried it here and there. Put it out there every now and then. The other thing is if you're putting that out there every single day or every single other day, it becomes not special anymore. And then people say, well, he keeps putting it out there every day, so it's obvious that he's just rubbing it in my face. But if you put it out there every now and then, it becomes special, and people may believe you more. And, the other way to do it is you can tell people about it, and then if they're looking for more, then you can have them connect with you. That way you open up a two-way dialogue. Now we're getting into a little bit how you market through email without, putting it all out there at one time. And, back in the day before all the social media stuff, I used to use email to get people on the phone. And then basically build the relationship on the phone. So now not only did I have the written word through the email, but I would basically get enough to get them on the phone and then talk to them on the phone. And then, for lack of better words, pitch them on whatever it was I was selling to continue building the relationship. And again, not always you close the sale on the first call, but you continue to build the relationship until they know, like, trust you and build value and, listen to their challenges and their situations that they're going through. And down the line, you're looking to solve problems, so possibly you can offer them something to resolve the problem that they're having.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, sales is a process, not an event.
Yeah,
and
for
I think
sure.
a lot of times our newcomers may be impatient with that process.
Yeah.
But, force doesn't work. And people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right, as the old saying goes. So, so in this case, right, you've got empathy for people. You were that guy, just wondering if this is this even real? I don't know. Like, we host every Friday, I'm sure you're aware, Aaron, we have our Inside Digital Altitude call. And that call is designed for guests and for brand new members, so they can hear, yeah, this is real. Look, here's some people. None of this is pre-planned. We don't even know who's going to speak up, but everybody come and share your wins. And that's just, it's raw, it's noisy, it's authentic. And you know what? Sign me up for that. I'll take raw enthusiasm any day over some canned, look at my rented Ferrari and if you like Ferraris, look, I'm not getting down on, I love Italian cars. I drove a Maserati. My wife had a Bentley, right? And at one point we had 5 cars, which, we've sort of sobered up since then. But but that's not like, okay, maybe that looks enticing to people. Okay, that's cool. But how many Ferraris do I need to have for you to be successful? It doesn't even make sense. So, in this case, if somebody's looking for true leadership, and I think that's what the world is starving for, and everyone can fill this role. Check this out, everybody. Okay, so we're talking to Aaron right now. Okay, and you got this guy, John. We just both happen to be 47, and we both happen to be family men, and we both happen to have studied sales and marketing and whatever other philosophy. I don't know if you know Aaron, but I've been studying philosophy hardcore for like 30 years now. So I got a lot of ammo in my brain. People say, John, how did you, become a speaker and author and all this? Well, my goodness, I got a lot of words in my head. So, and that helps with communications, right? That's, there it is right there. You're hearing a couple of guys who people tend to want to listen to because not only have we done things that they want to do, but we have empathy for them. I hope that makes sense. Okay, what we're getting at here is, I may know like how to make billions of dollars, which I haven't yet, by the way. I'm not a billionaire, okay? Still working on that. But even if I did know how to make billions of dollars, how does that translate into me and my willingness to help you, or even doing it with some degree of integrity? There's a lot of sharks in the water, right? Yeah.
You hit the nail on the head, dude, for sure.
Yeah.
That's it in a nutshell. That's it in a nutshell. I mean, it's the willingness to help somebody else. It's not always about, and you hear people say this too, it's not all about the money. The money's cool. The money's great. But how can you help somebody else get there too?
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's
right.
important to me.
Yeah, Aaron, I'm sure you can imagine how many offers I get for, hey, John, come to our company and, you'll be the royal head Makaha of everything and, and all this. And, man, you know what? Here's what I've discovered. More important than what business you do is who you do it with. You mentioned the water cooler, and that's a bit of a metaphor for the social aspect of what you do. Well, there's also built into that society, whether we're talking about this community in particular or even a job community, built into that is the average level of integrity of the group. And some people, their ethics are really challenged just by the environment they're in. However, You know, the purpose of the herd is to keep you in the herd. A lot of times people stick with a job or a situation where they know they are not fulfilled and not on purpose simply because, well, I don't know anybody else. You know, where am I going to go? And, you know, people feel like they need to belong. So even though Aaron, check this out, everybody, even though Aaron is a bit of a recluse in terms of, you know, his methods, he's not on, you know, Facebook posting, you know, kitten videos 15 times a day, still, right, he's a social being. And, you know, here we are, like we're going to this event, right? We do these events a few times a year. This is great. And we've got, I mean, why do you think that our curriculum has 3 event products in it? This is where the transformation happens. And I could not do this alone. Aaron, you mentioned earlier that you did not necessarily have much mentorship in the beginning. I could tell you that I'm not an island, man. I definitely, my big breakthroughs have come through the catalyst of other people. And to this day, I learn stuff, you know, from people who've done things that I want to do and all that. But what would you say to the person who right now, because this is the phenomenon that we see all the time, okay? So, John, even though you had other people that are very different than Aaron on this call, and you've done many of these calls, right now I'm hearing Aaron, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm very different than Aaron. I'm not a 47-year-old man, and I don't have a family, and I do like, you know, buying Ferraris, and or I'm, I don't know, fill in the blank with however you're different than Aaron. What would you say to the person who would, with a knee-jerk reaction, want to now disqualify themselves because they're not like Aaron or John?
Yeah, don't disqualify yourself. You don't have to be exactly like me. You don't have to be exactly like John. You don't have to be exactly like anybody that's on this call. The going to the events is really important too. It's actually critical. I didn't see that until sometime in the game. It's about going and meeting other people that are at the water cooler. You know, other people like you that may or may not like you. You know, opposites attract many times. So there's other people out there that are crushing it, some more than me, some less than me. And I can learn from the people that are doing less than me, and I can learn from the people that are doing more than me. But you can't learn anything if you don't go to the event or if you don't get yourself in the game. That's what I would say. You don't have to be exactly like me or anybody else. Don't compare yourself to other people. You know, just be yourself and be who you are, and grow your own progress from there. But do get yourself to the event. I'd love to meet you. I know that a lot of the other leaders love to meet you too. The past events with Digital Altitude have been amazing, and that's where you will have your breakthrough if you're open-minded enough when you're there to talk to people. And like I said, I'm outgoing, but I'm shy. But you know, I make myself talk to other people because I know how important and how valuable it is when you're there.
That's right. That's right. And you know what, Aaron, the idea you introduced earlier about having a point of differentiation, that is not dependent on having some, you know, making some spectacle of yourself per se. Like you're the family guy, right? That's like the least exciting thing. I mean, you know, so what? You're a family guy. There's millions of family guys, right? So think about that, right? If you're thinking you got to be like Aaron, perish the thought. Okay, one of my favorite philosophers, Ralph Emerson, said, "Imitation is suicide." Right? So do not be Aaron. Okay, no, don't do that. But do be you. In fact, we have, it was, in fact, on Friday, we had a woman come out here, Peggy, and she was talking about how she's a farmer, and she's in her 60s, and, you know, all that. I was like, we can get a marketing bit out of that, right? Give her a straw hat and put her up on a tractor or something. I don't know. I mean, how do you want to do that? She said, oh, yeah, I even have the old-time, you know, garb that I can wear, you know, the old farming woman's, I don't know, milkmaid outfit or something, but a little bit of shtick, right? So, and I've had, like, sometimes people ask, you know, John, what is the, you know, the best demographic or the best niche market to go after? And that, I think, is informed to a large degree on what you're already, you know, what your proclivities are already. So, you know what, I like intellectualizing on stuff. I'm you know, a bit highbrow and whatever, and I tend to attract people who are a bit more into the thinkingness of things. Okay, fine. Right. So, but other people, absolutely different. You know what? A name that's come up a bit in our community as of late is Sarah Gallo. And
Yep.
I know I was just chatting with Sarah today. And here's a early 20s young lady. Maybe she weighs 90 pounds. She's 5 feet tall, literally. She's a 5-foot traveler. And she's been to something like 25 countries already this year. She posts on Instagram pictures of, I don't know, we're at the waterfall or we're on the crest of the hill. And, okay, and the people that want the travel lifestyle gravitate towards that, right?
For sure.
Very different method than what you do. And you know what I'd like to do, Aaron, because we're running out of time here already. You see, I told you this would be an easy, flowing, and fun experience, right? Look at that. We're 40 minutes into this here. I feel like we're just getting started.
Yeah.
But I'd like to have you and other people who do other methods, less known methods, come out on like a Wednesday night with our host Cassandra. She hosts our On the Rise webinars, and maybe do a little show and tell about some of your methods, like with CPA and other things you
Yep.
do. Email, like how you're cultivating relationships with your list. Show some samples, some exhibits. I mean, that's obviously not something we're going to do tonight because we're just doing audio tonight. There's no screen share.
Yep.
But something like that, I think, would be tremendously valuable from a guy who knows stuff, which you clearly do. So yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Like you had mentioned something there. Like I do things with the written word. You're a very good speaker on stage, very good speaker on the phone.
Thank you.
I do things you're welcome. I do things through email, which is basically copywriting, writing copy, getting people to pay attention to what I'm saying through words, just like you do on the phone or on the stage. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, there's a definite value in showing people how to do these kind of things, because not everybody's going to go on the stage, or not everybody's going to go or be good on the phone. So, and then if you're good on the phone or good on the stage, well, there's no hurt in learning a new skill, because that will help you be more well-rounded.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
sure.
Absolutely. So let's do this. We do have a bunch of people commenting in the chat roll. Thank you all. Give Aaron some love in the chat roll there. He's on a phone tonight, so he may not be seeing the chat roll on livecall.com, but that's okay. And we're going to go ahead and open it up for Q&A real quick. We'll get a little bit of perhaps some audience participation going here. If you guys want to connect with Aaron, hold on, stand by. Here we go. All right, so Q&A session has started. So the lines are open. If you'd like to speak with Aaron in person right now, you can go ahead and raise your hand. If you are on a phone or Skype, the command is *6, and that will raise your hand. And if you're on the free conference call app, which I am and which most of you are, then you can click your raise your hand button, which used to be your mute and unmute button. And I do see our first caller is coming in. Oh, we had one. And okay, so once you put your hand up, keep it up. Okay, so here we go. We're going to go to our first caller, which is Jagdish. Jagdish, you're live on the air.
Hey, what's going on, Jagdish?
Can we hear you? Hello, Jagdish. You may be double muted. Jagdish, you're live on the air. Hello, are you there? Hello, Jagdish. Okay, one more call for Jagdish, and I am not hearing him. Are you there, sir? It looks like he was attempting to mute and unmute. You may be double muted. Jagdish, you can raise your hand again if you get that microphone situation worked out. We're going to go to our next caller, which is Katina. Katina, you're live on the air.
Hi. So
hey, how are you?
I'm good. So Aaron, you said that you're very shy. So what would your suggestion be to me? Because I'm excited, but I'm very nervous because I'm not that bubbly. Let me go up and talk to everybody that I see. So what should I do once I get to Vegas?
When you get to Vegas, definitely don't hide in the corner. I mean, come up and meet me, because I'll be shy with you. I mean, when you get to Vegas, I mean, basically what I do when I get to Vegas, even though I have a lot of friends there and built a lot of relationships over the years, I scan the premises first. I observe. I watch. I watch what's going on. I observe, and then basically, are you going alone or are you going with somebody? or somebody's?
Going alone.
Okay, yeah. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people there that are alone. There's going to be a lot of people there also that are in your situation that are shy. And I would say to scan the premises and then find a friend and force yourself to go, no matter how much you don't want to do it, force yourself to go start to talk to somebody, because everyone's there for the same reason, one reason or another, but it's all the same general reason. Everyone is there to be a part of something and meet other people that are a part of the same something to progress themselves further. So, you're shy, I'm shy, but turn the shyness off a tiny bit and understand and know that everyone's there basically for the same reason.
Okay, I will try.
All right. All right. Katia, and be sure you come up and meet me as well, because I used to be shy too, and you're going to be shy after this event. You're going to be like, oh yeah, when's the next event? Yeah. Okay. All right, my friend. Thank you for jumping out here, and we're going to go to our next caller in just a moment. We got him on deck, but I did get a text here from Jagdish. He said, John, maybe you can ask on my behalf. Aaron, what is the one tip you can share to improve open rates for email?
Subject lines.
Subject
lines. Yeah. I mean, basically it's all about setting yourself apart from the other guys. And the subject lines are the best, typically are the ones that you opened. So either take the ones that you opened and tweak them just a tiny bit to make them your own, or sometimes just use the subject lines the way they are, because you opened it. I'm sure plenty of other people opened it as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good tip. You ever go fishing for subject lines, like on some of these websites, like Cracked, 5 remarkable things, the secrets of this or that? Do you ever go looking for stuff like that?
Yeah, I'm always looking for stuff everywhere. Like I sometimes lurk in Facebook and scour and see other people using and saying, because typically if something gets my attention, it's going to get a lot of other people's attention, and you can see the interaction on social media like that, and basically just craft something like you see there, add your few touches to it, and use that, because it's already getting a lot of engagement. Why reinvent the wheel? So
there you go. So that's a great tip. Subject line. There you go. That's the headline that gets it read. So we're going to go to our next caller now, and Jagdish acknowledges your answer. Thank you, says Jagdish. Good tip. So thank you, Aaron. All right, and we got Glenn Henderson from Houston, Texas. I know this guy. How you doing, Glenn?
I know this.
Yeah, it seems to me we've met somewhere before, John. How are you doing?
Yeah.
Aaron, John, can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Great. Good to talk with you, Aaron. Fabulous things you've shared tonight. I'm looking forward to meeting you in Vegas. I do have one question. As John will tell you, I am not shy, but I am curious. You emphasized several times in this conversation the importance of getting to events, and that's a big thing for me as well. I'm talking to everybody I know. You've got to get yourself to the Marketing Mastery event. I wonder, Aaron, would you please, because I'm curious about this for you, could you talk to us about a moment, because people talk about, oh, I went to this such and such event and I had my aha moment, or I had my breakthrough, or however you want to call it. Can you talk to me about some moment that you have had at a digital altitude event where, maybe it was a conversation with somebody, something you heard from stage that really snapped it for you in terms of building your business and taking your business to the next level?
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely. The first digital altitude event I went to, I actually met people that I had been talking to online, chatting or texting or, writing in words for years. and never met them. So I was in the position of maybe some of the other people out there that it's not, and all these years later, maybe it's not real. I haven't met these guys. Maybe they're not real. So when you actually get to an event and you actually can touch people, and I went over this a little bit about on the webinar that we had, I think it was last week, Dallas webinar, is the moment you get there and you can actually shake somebody's hand or look in their eyes, and after all this time of talking to them, you see that they're actually a real person just like you, that's a big breakthrough for me. There's a lot of people that I met that I had looked up to for years, and now I see them in Digital Altitude. I see them working with Digital Altitude, and that was a huge breakthrough when I met them for the first time after all this time talking to them for years. Like, you've been friends with them forever, but you meet them for the very first time. So that's why I encourage people to get to the event. I was not a big event goer myself until I started going, and now I won't stop going, because that could be a huge breakthrough when you put the puzzle pieces of the puzzle together, and you'll find out that this stuff, this internet thing, it is for real, and we're all real people. So hopefully that helps, Glenn.
Thank you. It does, Aaron. Thank you very much. And by the way, I look forward to continuing our friendship in person in Vegas.
Awesome. Chat with you soon. Yeah.
Good stuff. Thank you, Glenn. And looks like no other hands are raised. So with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up Q&A. All right. And so, Aaron, thank you. And my goodness, I got a bunch of value out of this. It's always good to get to know our top earners more. And, of course, a pleasure to share it right here in a public forum with everyone. Of course, now I can never again say that Aaron Andrews has never hosted a call. Woe is me, right? I can't be a victim anymore, Aaron. I'm just gonna have to revel in the awesome message that you gave here tonight. And of course, this will be immortalized on our podcast, so you can go ahead and, I don't know, maybe send it to your team so they can listen to as well. Aaron, any closing thoughts from you?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, again, I can't emphasize it enough, get to the event. Stay focused on what you're doing right now. Stay focused on Digital Altitude. You're in the right place at the right time with the right company and the right people. So, I mean, I don't want to belabor it and keep going on, but that's definitely the meat and potatoes and the secret, so to speak, of how this stuff all works. Stay focused, stay the course, stay consistent and persistent, and you too will get there. Absolutely.
Great stuff. And I am seeing a bunch of acknowledgement in the chat roll. You guys, thank you for being here. And of course, we're going to go ahead and get this podcast posted straight away. Aaron, thanks again, my friend. Everyone, we'll be back here tomorrow morning for our wake-up call with Joel Straight. So see me here at 10 a.m. Eastern U.S. time. Until then, have a great night. You absolutely deserve it. And bye for now.